and this is an age-appropriate blended game for kids, and our goal is to build a stronger foundation for all of STEM with our game. The economic impact of making our students better at math is absolutely tremendous. If we just became equivalent to Canada, it would add trillions of dollars to our GDP every year. In my research looking into what is needed to improve math education, I discovered that average math SAT scores peaked in the United States in 1964, and they've been in steady decline since then, and still going. Today, only 26% of high school graduates are proficient at 12th grade math. And the single best early indicator for how a student is going to perform on the SAT is how they performed in the 3rd grade when they were learning math facts. And we're dedicated to fixing this. So I have a theory about why this is happening. When I was a kid, I grew up in Savannah, Georgia. Who's paying attention? I just sold my house. I want to move back there. We need to talk. I grew up in a house that had one black and white tube TV with rabbit ears, and if there wasn't a hurricane, we got 3 channels. And I had sticks and rocks and dirt to play with. And the only rocks in Savannah you had to go steal from River Street, right? So what that really meant was my classroom was one of my most engaging environments. And if you compare my 3rd grade experience to a 3rd grader today, they live in a home with multiple surround sound, big screen, super normal stimuli, role-playing video games that a lot of y'all are guilty of contributing to this problem. And so what I think the trick to make kids better at math is to fully engage them in it again. And that's what we want to do. And these lower relative engagement in the classroom are what's killing automaticity. And automaticity is instinctively, instantly knowing those math facts, that 2 times 2 is 4, without even thinking about it. And what that does is it frees up your it stores that math fact in long-term memory. And when you store it in long-term memory, which we have an abundance of, it frees up your working memory part of the brain to be able to tackle higher order thinking problems later. So when you get to geometry and calculus and algebra and all that, those 2 parts of the brain can sync up properly, and that's what will create STEM's longitudinal success in math that we all want for our students. And to achieve that automaticity, the research shows that 80% of the kids, once they engage with a math fact 24 times, they have a 80% chance of that sticking in long-term memory. But 24 times, nobody's going to do that when they can go home and play World of Warcraft or whatever y'all are selling today. So, and today you go into any classroom, whether it's 3rd grade, 12th grade, or in college, and every teacher will tell you their students don't know their math facts, just like she said. You know, nobody can get change at the cash register. And that's the reason why. So how do we motivate students today to be better at math? Well, you make a game out of it, and that's what I did. And we can easily motivate today's students with an annual Albert's Insomnia Math Challenge. And when I say that, my vision is to create a spelling bee-like contest with my patented game, so kids can work at it all through the year at home on their own time, and incentivize the players. Incentivize not just the players, but also their parents. Incentivize the teacher, incentivize the principal, make sure that everybody is engaged in making sure these kids learn their math facts. And that sounds really expensive, but everybody wants to help. I've already had talks with companies like AT&T and Chick-fil-A, and they don't want to help me build my company because I'm not a not-for-profit. That's why I'm here begging for money. But they all want to be there when the bridge is built to cross it and share in the credit for making our kids better at math. just so you know, National Spelling Bees have been around for 100 years. They have tens of thousands of school enroll every year. They currently have 288 sponsors. It's probably the most profitable thing that Scripps does. These are some results we got. I'm sorry, I'm zipping through this. I only got 10 minutes. This was my first pilot school, was Stripling Elementary. They bought my classroom kits. I think they bought 50 classroom kits for $60 a piece. I went in and showed all the teachers how to play the game. They used the game 3 or 4 times a week in their math centers for about 15 minutes. And we had 33% more kids exceed the standard on the CRCT that year, on the state exam. The rest of the county had less than 8% increase, and that 8% increase included my 33% at Stripling. So I was probably responsible for most of the gains in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade exceeding that year. Carter Academy is a school in Houston, Texas, another Title I school. They bought my products and they did a pre-test. They used my products for 2 weeks and retested and showed a 23% increase in computational proficiency. And the first graders at that school were using multiplication to be better at playing the game. So they were naturally incentivized to zip along and be better at it. So this will have a much bigger, more impactful effect than the spelling bees have ever had. That's me, that's my wife, that's my kids. Albert Buchner was my great-grandfather. I named my game after him. My family's very proud of him. He invented spark plugs and mufflers and governors and all kind of cool stuff. I got lots of guys want to help me do this. On my board of advisors, Tony Tortorici was PR guy for Coca-Cola. Prashant helped me build my app. It's a cross-platform design, so there's a mobile component. That started off as a very small project, and it grew tremendously when we came up with the right algorithm to score the game. So there was very good assessment and accountability tools built in that would help the teachers and the principals. It can even serve as an evaluation tool for teachers. Usman Mirza wants to help me. He's done a lot of great projects. I'll probably sign a contract with him next week to be on my board. Dr. Marty Lear is a leading digital learning professor at Ferris, and he played my game. He saw it and he said, and this was a couple of years ago, said I was going to struggle because I'm about 5 years ahead of the curve for what my game does and how it works. He said, this is what all the big companies are looking for, but they don't know how to do it yet, and my patent is what makes it all work. It scores the game, it brings all the pieces together so it flows just right. Matt Nuccio's a game designer in New York. He helped me with my packaging and some manufacturing kind of stuff where we were struggling. I got my patent lawyer. Kathy Spruill is a very valuable math coach in Gwinnett County. She's working on her PhD. She was the math coach at Stripling. She absolutely loves this, says it changes kids' lives. Danny Strickland did all our artwork. I've been a research and development company up to this point largely. We do have some schools participating in the contest next year. I've got a new television station opening in Gwinnett County called Joy TV. I'm sorry, I feel like Hillary. And they want to build a studio to host the finals of my contest and distribute that to everybody. And they're very excited about it. And I need about $2 million to build a company. I don't think I'll need or use all of that. I need about $50,000 short term to make sure the contest happens perfectly this year. And my goal for that is to make sure I've got all my marketing and videos of the kids doing that and the TV stuff all lined up perfectly, because I'm an ambassador for the Global Math Project, which is going to hit about a year from now. And it will be in front of 1 million math teachers around the world. So the $2 million, part of that would be used to build the infrastructure and everything needed to be in position to take advantage of that when it hit. I'll stop there. That's me. So, some numbers. I'll be around today. If you want to play, I'd love for you to come play. The game is a much better salesman than I am. It's kind of like Monopoly. If we talked about Monopoly, y'all would all say, that sounds like accounting, I'm going home. but once you start playing and you get engaged with the game, it hooks you. You feel it, you become part of it, and it makes its point.
Oh, we've got
Very
time for about
profitable.
5 minutes of questions now.
Sure. Yes, ma'am?
What is your initial target market?
Third, fourth, and fifth grade is the real sweet spot. The game, I do have several levels of the game that are built into the database. There's a version we call Little Lambs, which is kindergarten through second grade. The meat and potatoes of the game is called Shepherd's Challenge, and that's third, fourth, and fifth grade. And then there's the Big Bad Wolf, which is on up. Nobody in here could finish that, but it starts using exponents and factorials. It becomes very challenging. PhDs that teach students to be math PhDs can't do it. They love it. So,
what does your revenue model look like if you only get like down toward the 50,000 minimum investment that you need versus the 2 million? What does it do to this, especially 2017, 2018?
okay, the $50,000 is kind of a short-term goal, and that's just to make sure that I get all the contracts worked out perfectly with this television station. I got all the prizes I needed for the kids that win the contest, their parents, their teachers, all that kind of stuff, and make sure I've got the infrastructure in place to try to make sure I can take advantage of all of that. I mean, everything's pretty much done. I'd love to.
What revenue will you generate if you would only get that minimum? What would this look like in 2017? Because you have some aggressive numbers here over the next 2 to 3 years, let alone 4.
Yeah, those are not that aggressive. I mean, really, when I go into a school, it almost works out to about $17 per student is what I net out of a school. You know, by the time the Title I funds kick in and they buy the app and they take a game home and they buy a classroom kit for each class, it's a pretty substantial amount of money. So even if I only get 10% of the state of Georgia, we're still talking about making a tremendous amount of money. So with even modest, concentration in an area, it's very, very lucrative.
So,
and
sorry, what is the app? What is the product? Is it an app or is it
all of the above? All of the above. And my goal, and this is why I want to do the contest, is to create demand for the products. So when the contest shows up on television, the teachers, the principals, all the parents see it, and they go, oh, we need to have that contest in our school. They call us up, they buy all these products. I also have physical card games that go on every school supply aisle shelf in the world.
And your manufacturing for that is?
China, India. It's very, very lucrative. It's just paper and ink. It's very lucrative. Yes, sir.
Like Fluency, do you have a portal for the teacher to manage the students
Yes.
and all their scores?
Well, there's a place where they can go in and see the statistics. They can see the feedback of the kids' play. So there's a teacher login where they go in and it basically ranks the kids, shows their change in rank, that kind of stuff in the class, so they know where their problems are. Then the administrators for the school or the math coach for the school also would have a login, and they can go in and they can look at class average scores over time. So it's like a live dashboard for math at a whole school. And they go, oh, Gordon, boy, your class is really doing terrible. What's going on in there? Are you that bad of a teacher, or your kid's that bad? And they know instantly. They can go in and fix the problem before the tests ever come back. Yes, sir?
Yeah, so actually I just checked your website to see what the game is. So it's a card game, but you are taking this card game to a digital?
It's an app too. If you look on there, up at the very top, there's a little link that says "Play free now" here or something like that,
So
and you can go play the game there. It's live. It's ready to go. Schools are using it.
Obviously, does it have a gamification component, reward system?
Yes, the game engine is what's patented.
So you have under your use of funds the proof of concept packaging, which you've got an operating game. So is this for additional product or just beyond proof of concept?
Yes. Currently there's about 1,000 games in the database. I don't want to talk about it too much, but I could pretty easily double that. I can write a new algorithm and basically double what's in there and push it well into the middle school market as well. So that would be a small piece of it, and that's probably going to require another patent and that kind of stuff. So I'd like to take care of that with some of that initial money also. That would be critical.
We have time for one more question.
Yes, sir.
You draw a parallel with spelling bees.
Yes.
How much do spelling bees improve spelling in?
Hardly at all.
So why would this
They
be-
probably did when they started 100 years ago,
Right, but you draw a parallel with spelling bees, so why would this be?
because everybody understands that,
Sure, but then why would this be any different?
because it changes the scores. It increases computational proficiency in a hurry, because kids enjoy doing it. They get that repetitive exposure in a way that's very kid-friendly that they relate to. And if you play the game with me, you'll see it. And I'll be around. Love to do that.
Thanks very much, Rick.
Thank you, Rob and Jay, for letting me come.